Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI Friday tier for the summer season. We're here today for the Hungarian Grand Prix and it's a sprint event. As you can see, we're in the middle of the one-shot qualifying for the sprint race. That's Heischler looking like he's going to take pole with Frantic and Zingy taking P3. Heischler across the line for a 14.03 tenths behind is the Haas of Frantic right there. Zingy, the championship leader, gets that third spot and is going to need to try and find something into the first corner. That is the grid already for qualifying, and then we will get those results on your screen shortly. We've got the Bill P4 and Gilly in P5 and the McLaren right there. A bit of a burst into the session, of course. I do apologise for the delay on the stream, but that is the result. Heischler takes pole, Frantic in P2, and then Zingy in P3. That's the rest of the grid. We'll go through the race director just in case, and we'll be back for the sprint race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? It looks like a pretty good start from Heischler. Frantic to the inside, but here comes Zingy, already making it to P2. Goes to the outside line. Frantic is on the inside as Heischler goes defensive. It's going to be Zingy looking to go around the outside on the medium tyre, and he's already into the lead of the Grand Prix. Heischler can't do too much about it. They're going to try and take that longer line around, and they might actually have the traction to get the job done, but no, they will not find the inside of turn three and have to back off for now. That's a brilliant start right there from the Scotsman, from the championship leader in both constructors and drivers. Gilly sitting in P4 with Nabil sat right behind. Not too much has changed other than that. Then we've got Terence and Top Rob, the two Red Bulls, and these are the permanent fixtures for the Friday tier. And that's Dave Raptors on return, fighting a bit of a ghosted car situation at the moment. They've got, is that Zora who makes their move. Dave not got too much experience in this new game. We'll still hope to see him up the order. He was right behind in P8 right there, right behind Terence, but just has to miss out. I don't know if there was some lag or something, but anyway, they get settled into the race. Peanuts, of course, as well, joining a little bit late on, but is here. And then we've got a brand new Darko, who unfortunately has a few issues off the start, but we'll see what they can do in a little bit. And yeah, for now, Zingy gets off the line perfectly. We've got Heischler in the Alpine just sitting behind and trying to set a stage for the race. Just try and relax and get some momentum and see what they can do. It's the sprint race. It's not the main race just yet, but still quite a few laps for a sprint race. 12 laps is a long way to go. We've got a bit of a mix-up right there of JJ and Zora, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but they switched positions and that has changed. We've got Terence, who drops back a little bit from Tom Rod, but other than that, we've got the top six all in a big train. Tomrob has a little bit of work to do to make sure he doesn't lose that train. It would be very useful to have, but everybody is on that medium tyre. Anything counts because we're all equal tyre-wise right here, all equal. Hopefully damage-wise. I don't believe anybody's got any damage, so it is a bit competitive right now at the front. Terrence just not able to hold on right now. They could have Zora for company in a few moments' time. There's Peanuts and also JJ following Peanuts behind closely and looking to try and make some good progress. Dave Raptor's still having those issues with the new game, of course, but the sprint race is here to help them, and then they've got the main race to get everything under control and have another crack at a good result. Zingy leads the way, and DRS is enabled for Heischler the first time around, and into the first corner. Heischler looks to try and take it. Zingy tries and takes a wide berth and gets the traction down on exit. Is that going to be enough? There's going to be another bit of DRS and a bit of lag also to add to that. Zingy tries to stick his nose in, and Heischler leaves the space, but that's going to be Heischler's move all day long, and they've managed to get their pole position back, and they lead the race once again. Very, very good overtaking right there from Heischler. Perfect stuff. That's Gilly in the McLaren with Nabil once again hunting them down. They're all in that train, so they're all kind of just locked in at the moment, as I will repeat again, with Tomrob right behind. Terrence has not got any pressure from Zora. They're kind of on their own at the moment, still looking at some points, but yeah, as I said, they are on their own at the moment. We've got Zora sitting in P8 with JJ right now, trying to close in on that Williams, and they are very close. That is Dave Raptors retiring. Unfortunately, that is the race over. That's JJ taking a slight avoiding action to avoid any contact, but they're going to go side by side into the braking zone. Zora's going to have to go very slowly on the inside line right there. They're going to try and send it. They had a look. JJ leaves the space, but still had the momentum over and managed to get the job done. Now Peanuts is right behind, looking to try and follow JJ, who they were close with just a few moments ago. They've got that DRS, they've got the ERS to use. Zora's not using any, so it's going to be an easy pass on the straight right here. They tried to go defensive with a little bit of a tap, but other than that, that's going to be how it goes, and I think that is going to be the move done there for Peanuts. Zora will sit in P10, and JJ and Peanuts are now going to have to fight each other for the last point on the grid. Now Heischler once again leads the way. Zingy doesn't go for the overtake. You can see that Alpine just leaning into the corner at turn 4, sliding through, as you've got the new game with the engine braking to make use of over the brakes. You just really slide that car, lean on everything you can. It can be very tricky, but it's the way it goes. Now we've got a bit of a situation right there with Nabil and Terrence, or Tomrob I should say, and they were very, very close together right there, and that is Tomrob trying to go through. That is going to be Nabil into the wall, unfortunately, after more mistakes, and they're going to get big damage. What a shame. They were ghosted. They still tried to take the racing line despite Tomrob was on the inside, and then they just lost the car. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. They're going to go very slowly through the corner, and I think they pull off into the pit lane possibly. No, they're going to try and continue. They might be able to score points, but I say that JJ is going to be catching very quickly with that amount of damage on that car. Tomrob, unfortunately, 2.1 seconds, not going to be able to fight right now. We've got Zingy making that move for the lead of the Grand Prix, and Heischler is just going to have to settle once again behind. Lap 5 out of 12, he's still got a long way to go in this Grand Prix. Gilly is the back of the train at the moment, as Tomrob and Nabil have both dropped out of that one right there. Nabil goes further down the order, which is a shame. That's Peanuts going to the inside line on JJ. It's going to go through turn 3, and they'll still keep it side by side up the hill. Who's going to get it? It's a drag race to turn 4, and they are going to try and make it side by side. They keep it in a straight line just about. That's as close as you'll ever get it. I think it was an opportunistic move right there from Peanuts. Obviously, JJ wasn't affected, so lucky for them. But Peanuts did lose out, and they lost out rightfully. It was a good effort. It was as close as it's ever going to get without a major incident ever occurring. I should know. Yeah, that was a close call. They might be able to get DRS back on JJ and see if they can fight again a little bit later on. Force feedback issues, that is a shame. Do you know if it's an issue for your wheel, or if it's like a kind of integration with the game? Are you just not fully set up, maybe? Is that the thing, or can you feel there's a further issue? We continue. Zingy leads the way, and Heischler doesn't go for the overtake this time around. We're going to check the ERS levels and see from both drivers right now. The Mercedes are a little bit harder to see, but we can just about see it. They've got some in that car as you go through the corners there. Heads do move. I really do need to try and get the most... change that a little bit, because it's not entirely too fair. And Zingy still obviously has the upper hand, but saving the energy as these guys can't really go anywhere. They might as well save the energy by dropping off on the battery. Gilly is going to have to start using a little bit of battery. They are very close to the limit right here. On the train, not necessarily doing anything wrong, but that train is just very, very powerful up in front, and they've got to be careful. They've got to push with everything they can on this mini straight and hope that this braking zone will slow them down and allow them to catch up. I say that slow them down, slow the lead pack down and allow Gilly to catch up. We'll see if that is the case. Tom Rob on his own at the moment, Terence as well in the same situation, but in the background you can see JJ and Peanuts once again fighting. Unfortunately, Zora's dropped from the battle right here, and this is the battle that we're going to get between these two. Will we see any overtakes here from Heischler? We will not. We might see an overtake from JJ and Peanuts though, as it could be a switch up into the first corner. Pulls to the inside line. JJ stays to the outside line, and they bleed off the brakes to get alongside. They're going to get DRS again. Will they try and go to the inside line, or are they going to keep it behind? Don't really think they've got an opportunity. They're just going to have to sit back and wait for now. Once again, this is for points, both for points this time, not just 1 point for either driver. It's 1 or 2 points. So if you are JJ, you've scored 2 points. If you are Peanuts, you score 1 point. Now, losing the car on the rear, they've got to be very careful that they don't do that too much, because otherwise, when you get later on into the Grand Prix and the tyres are a lot more worn, you will end up having that snap of oversteer and a bit more and find yourself with no front wing. So got to be careful he doesn't do that too much. Keep control of the tyres, relax, and then fight a little bit harder. Then use all of not only the car's energy, but your own mental and physical energy at the very final laps of this race. There is a main race as well to come. This is only the sprint. We go on to lap 8 of the sprint race with Zingy, the race leader, and Heischler once again goes for the move into the first corner. There are no pit stops, so everybody's just pacing themselves at the moment. Switchback looking possible for Zingy right here, but they're not really going to use the ERS surely. No, they will not. DRS is available for Heischler regardless, so it would be silly too. We're going to get Peanuts and JJ switching up before the braking zone this time. Peanuts managing to have a pretty decent third sector compared to JJ at least, and getting the job done. And now JJ's going to try and find a way through, of course. And as I said, these guys are just going to be pacing themselves. It's not like it's a pit stop to come. It's literally to the end, and it's going to boil up at some point. Gilly, unfortunately, has dropped off the top battle, so that is now just Heischler, Zingy, and Frantic. Frantic once again finding themselves fighting for the lead positions in a Grand Prix, and that is Zingy making a mistake. Frantic looking very racy right there, was ready to pick up the pieces. They've got nothing to lose. Heischler still holds on for now. Zingy might have realised that Frantic is willing to go for overtakes and instead might have to try and go ahead of Heischler. Offensive's the best defence, and are they going to try and go for the overtake? They're still not going to go for it just yet. They're going to wait on the ERS till later, so they don't have to use as much. Just deploy it with the help of the DRS, and that will be the move done just about. Heischler's going to have to let that one go, unfortunately. Although I say that, they did use the energy. I think they're more just trying to hold on as close as they can behind Zingy without Frantic being able to go for an overtake. Frantic just sitting behind, locked in position at the moment, can't really do much. But as I said, they're pacing themselves. When it gets to the final couple of laps of the Grand Prix, it's all going to change, and it's already going to change. And that is a repeat. It's already all going to change as Heischler makes a big mistake and gets himself a time penalty. That is not what we want to see right there from the pole sitter. Another time penalty here, but for Peanuts instead. So it's a lap 9 where all the time penalties are coming in. Keep that in mind for the main race. That could be a similar pattern for everybody. What a shame right there for the battles. Both closest battles on the grid right now, both have time penalties involved in them. That is a shame. It's the way it goes. We'll see if anything can happen. Tom, Rob and Gilly. I wonder if that gap's changing now. Gilly doesn't have that DRS. If Tom Rob can try and catch up, or if Gilly's still got the pace, it's very possible that that could be the case. Now we go into the first corner. There won't be an overtake from anyone. Zingy leads the way. Heischler isn't making a move, and neither was Frantic, which is interesting. I'm sure Frantic would have gone for the move. Because there was a time penalty to Heischler's name, so needs to try and make sure that they get in front and fight for that win, because otherwise they're definitely not going to fight ahead. All that Zingy needs to do is finish ahead of Frantic, not ahead of Heischler, because they'll immediately get promoted. If they can finish ahead, that's ideal, of course, because it's not only safety, but it's also pride. But Frantic, he's got to go full push. He's got to go full push, and he's not quite doing it just yet. Using the energy at interesting parts of the circuit, as they just lost a little bit. Zingy switched it on and started to push a lot more. That's the third time penalty of the evening. Got to be very careful. Hopefully no one else gets any more. And we are about to start the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix with Frantic running out of time. They have to make the move here on Heischler if they want to try and challenge with Zingy. But at the moment, as I said, Zingy switched it on and it could all change. Heischler's using the energy to try and catch up to Zingy. Frantic won't be able to do anything about it. They're not going to have a go at looking at an overtake on Heischler because he was busy trying to catch up to Zingy and minimise that gap. We will go through the penultimate lap. There is going to be a car moving out the way. That shouldn't be a problem because DRS isn't in this part of the circuit. We go back to the battle with JJ and Peanuts as these two switch again. And that is JJ sitting behind with a little bit of ERS in their car, just waiting for that final opportunity, I assume. And they've got DRS as they go onto the final straight, starting the final lap very shortly. That will be great to see for them. They have got Terence just up ahead. They do also not have Tom Robb. Tom Robb has lost a bit of time to Gilly. Gilly's managed to push ahead, so they are pretty quick right now. But once again, to the lead pack as we're on the end of the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. And it looks all very much sorted right now. It's all a bit gridlocked. Zingy pushed massively, was able to create a bit of a gap, so Heischler couldn't pressure. Now, Heischler still has a lot of battery, so they might be able to have a final attack. Would they really want to go for the attack? I don't quite know. They're going to use everything. Why not? Why not? There's no reason to not use all of the battery. Zingy will not have to go defensive as Heischler will not catch up. Neither will Frantic. Frantic is looking to still make this move on Heischler, but they won't look at making the overtake here on Zingy. Using all the energy they can, but they've not got too much left. Heischler and Zingy do. I don't think it would change anything, but once again, Frantic will have to settle for that P2 as it stands. But with Peanuts and JJ as they exit, it's not going to be close because Peanuts has had a big mistake and loses out. They won't lose out position-wise, but unfortunately the battle will be over very, very early with a big bit of damage on that car as well. So Zora might be able to capitalise on that position as well. We'll see how that goes, and they might get a point on return to LSI. Peanuts, after all of that effort, might lose out. Zingy has got a final sector to go. As long as they don't make mistakes, they'll be fine. If they do make a little mistake and lose a position to Heischler, they'll still take the win in the sprint race. They just need to make sure that they don't make a major mistake, because otherwise Frantic would get through. Zingy rounds the final corners, and they will continue to extend their championship lead for Mercedes at the Hungarian Grand Prix and win the sprint race. Heischler in P2 with Frantic taking it, then a P3 for Heischler. Gilly very close behind with a P4, tried their best to hold on, of course, with the DRS train. Tom Robb will take that P5 after a very unfortunate incident that they were not really involved in, just slowed them down. Terence take a P6, then JJ takes that P7 hard 4. Then we've got Peanuts, who looks like they are going to lose out, unfortunately, to Zora. Great news for Zora, though. They're going to be looking to score a point on return. Unless they make a big mistake like they've just done, they've got to be careful. They cannot afford to do that again. That being said, the pace in that Red Bull car, or the RB car, is just not up to standard with no front wing, and that will be a point there for Zora. Peanuts will miss out. Nabil will cross the line on the soft tyre, who actually did a very good job to recover as close as they were to the rest of the pack. They did a pit stop as well, so yeah, that's impressive right there from Zora. They've managed to do a good job and get their way through, and that is the race done. Peanuts gets driver of the day. They pushed as hard as they could, didn't quite work out, but it's not about if it works out or not, it's about how hard you try. Zingy takes the win, Frantic in P2, then Heischler in P3. We've got Gilly, Tom Robb, Terence, JJ, Zora, Peanuts, Nabil, Darko, Roger, and Dave Raptors. We go for the race director just in case. We just need to make sure. I want to double correct myself right there. Darko, Raya. Is it Raya? Raja? I don't know. Anyway, I'm English. I can't pronounce anything. That's the results. We'll see you in a bit for the main race after a little bit of a lobby restart. Alright, thank you for your patience, everyone. We'll be racing once again very, very shortly. We will return with the one-shot qualifying for the main race in a few moments' time. Hello everyone, we're back. Sorry for the delay. We're in the main qualifying and currently Heisler is on pole again right now. We have Nabil having issues. They should be able to get back themselves. That is not what we want to see. Hopefully they can still have a good race though. Heisler takes pole position for the main race by 2/10 over Frantic. Tom Robin P3, and then we've got Peanuts with Zingy and Zora both having pretty big issues. Unfortunately, that one's done, and we'll see if hopefully Nabil can get in to the lobby for the main race. That's the results with Heisler taking pole, Frantic, and then Tom Robin P3, the race director, just in case. We'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Nabil, you should be able to join through Steam. I can't invite you yet, so if you want to wait for an invite, you have to wait for either after the start or you can join right now through Steam yourself. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are away! And that is Frantic into the lead. No, it's not. It's Heisler still having the lead of the Grand Prix by quite a nice margin. That's all good. That's Gilly to the inside with the two Red Bulls in single file. That's Zingy looking for a move around the outside, and they just avoid. Who was that? Was that Terence who lost the car? Terence losing the car big time. They've managed to keep it just about in the straight line, but almost wiped out Zingy, the championship leader, who is trying to have a go around the outside of Gilly. Now they're going to switch it to the right hand side. Gilly's going to let that one go, and they sort themselves out eventually. That is Nabil joining the lobby for the race start just about. They might have a bit of a scuff strategy or scuff fuel kind of situation, but other than that they should be good. They should have a setup applied and they should be able to complete this race quite nicely. We're going to have a look at all the data as we can quickly get it up on our screen right now, and you can see right there that is only two hard tyre runners with Tom, Rob and Peanuts going for that alternate strategy. Other than that, everybody on the medium tyre, including the pole sitter right now. Frantic, of course, in that P2 position. Zingy not too far away from the top three where he was before. He's just got to try and get past Tom Rob, who is on a very different tyre, and it shouldn't be too difficult to have a look at the other car, of course. Looking to the right hand side, and they will try and go for the move down the straight if they can. I say that. Tom Rob's not making it exactly easy and trying to keep the pace in a straight line. Gilly's trying to have a look as well. Tom Rob should be okay, and they will maintain it for now, but pushing on the energy is the McLaren. They want to try and follow the Scotsman through. They will not have the opportunity to, and they'll have to back off for the moment. Very good opportunity right there for Gilly. Wasn't able to utilise it, but awesome defending right there of Tom Rob on that hard tyre. Even with the battery, it's an art to defend, and he's managed to get the job done. Now, Zingy is just within DRS range here of Frantic and Heisler. They still need to push a little bit more if they want to get that, and they've pushed full send through the chicane of 6 and 7, and I think they've managed to do it. I say that, they're only just about holding on still right now, so they've got to push a little bit harder, and they will be able to get it, but it's still on a knife edge. That DRS is going to be very, very useful, as we saw in the sprint race for the race. Of course, that is Peanuts going off in the background, and it was looking like Terence is trying to have a go. These two teammates in the last F1.5 season. Terence a bit frustrated on the throttle, losing the car a little bit as they were kind of not really sure what Peanuts was doing right there with the car ahead having their issues. Maybe that is to do with the hard tyre. That is Tom Rob switching with Gilly as they go into the first corner, and we will quickly see that. It's a bit late, I do apologise, but we're trying to figure out what's on screen at the moment. It is Nabil and P8 and JJ having an issue, already making a fresh pit stop and going to the end of the Grand Prix on a hard tyre. They could get a nice undercut. I say that they're going into the pit lane immediately again, so maybe they didn't get some damage repaired and they're looking to try and repair that damage. We'll have a quick look. They are. So unfortunately they're having a couple of issues right here, but still, it's a long old race and there's opportunities to get into this race a little bit later on. The top three are running strong as before. Gilly sits in P4 and Tom Rob, well, he's trying to come back a little bit later on. They're looking for the late game pull back and see if they can make this alternate tyre work out. They've got a car ahead for DRS, of course, to try and minimise that pace disadvantage that they will have on this tyre. But yeah, we'll see. Now, if you know Hungary, you will know that the hard tyre is much better than a medium tyre. The medium tyre drops off about lap 7 from my experience. Lap 6 it gets a little bit weird. Lap 7 it does drop off, at least for consistency. It's still somewhat quick and then it slowly gets slower and slower. Now, I reckon that's why these guys have gone onto that medium tyre, because the heavy car, the heavy fuel, you try and get all of that out of the way immediately. And then once you've got that out the way, then the car will be lighter for when you're on the hard tyre and you can have some nice grip. Now let's say you go to the outside line and swoop around the outside. They go off the circuit. I think they're going to have to give the position back to Frantic. They take the position and legally squeeze them out as they go through turn 5. That's an interesting situation right there. I'm not entirely sure how Frantic's going to feel about that one, but Zingy is ahead. It would have been nice to see the track limits right there. I'm sure we'll be able to get a replay after the race. But yeah, an interesting situation, and they do return the position. They let that one go. They realise that it wasn't really fair, and Frantic will stay in that P2. They say thank you as they wiggle, and they maintain DRS, which is the most important thing. It would be very, very annoying if, of course, the car ahead makes that move, then lets you go, then you both lose DRS. He made sure that they didn't lose DRS, didn't lose time to Heichler, and then return the position. Now they're going to go for it again on the straight with DRS, and that will be job done. Lovely stuff. They've got a 2-second advantage to the cars behind. Gilly is on the same tyre, but that train of 3 is just too powerful at the moment. It is incredibly useful to have DRS for a long old race as well, where tyres are really quite crucial. Now, Gilly, P4, they do have Tomrob, as I said, on a hard tyre. Also, Peanuts is on a hard tyre as well. That's going to be an interesting one. JJ's on the second set of mediums, 2 pit stops behind, and just hoping for a safety car, which could well come out. At this point, we are testing the standard safety car setting, so it's more likely than reduced, of course, but to be honest, we haven't really seen that many safety cars regardless, so I think standard might be the new reduced, and reduced is basically just never getting a safety car. We'll see how it goes. We have got a few safety cars, but just not too many. Anyway, Heisch leads the way, and it is all looking pretty stable up the front. These hard tyres are definitely going to be interesting. And Peanuts isn't too far away from Tomrob, so these guys are both going to be trying to push their way through the order at the same time. They're in their own little DRS train at the moment, actually, so there are 2 effectively trains happening at the same time. Tomrob goes for the move and makes that work. That's the only overtake it looks like is going to be happening this lap, although that being said, Zora might have a look here on Nabil to the inside line. They're going to send it. Nabil, is he going to have to let that one go? He tries to get the switch back, just misjudges it a little bit, makes contact with the front wing. It's a bit of a clout, but I don't think they've got enough to be damaged. I hope they're okay. They should be okay. They're on that medium tyre, and they continue. They do have a time penalty, unfortunately. Hopefully they can get into this race. This is the pole sitter from the Belgian Grand Prix, so they've got a lot of pace in that car. They just need to try and utilise it, and it's not so simple, unfortunately. Very difficult to drive a race. Tomrob, he's actually doing a pretty good job right now. They're maintaining, if not closing, the gap to the cars ahead. Gilly and himself working together. Peanuts, of course, is being dragged along. Terence is hoping that they can try and catch a little bit more pace, but at the moment, even though they're on the faster tyre, in theory, it's not looking so quick. In about 2 laps' time, that will change, and those hard tyres are only going to get faster. As you can see, Tomrob, of course, has kind of minimised that pace difference. Now Zingy's going to try and get something done and go for the move. That being said, they don't single file it, and they'll end up going to fight instead and lose time to the cars behind. And that's not what you want to do when you're racing against a group of cars on a different strategy, but it's what they've done. And that is that. So Frantic tried their best to have a go. They're going to try and have a go up the hill. They're to the outside line. They're going to back off and let Heichler go, and maybe have a go through turn 5 as Heichler goes very slow through the corner right there. That's an interesting situation. It's drastically quite slow through the exit of turn 5. I'm sure Frantic was quite confused at that, but yeah, Heichler was on an awkward line, so I guess they maybe just slowed down a bit too much in reaction to that awkward line. And Frantic tried to go full send, so I think it was a combination of both right there. Nothing to be looked at, and that will carry on. That is a yellow for Zora, fighting with Nabil as best as they could, but unfortunately they will lose out, and that is that one done. Darko Roger will go into P9. It is Darko Roya, I think. Raya, there you go, Darko Roya in P9. Lovely stuff. Trying to make the best of this situation. I believe they usually drive with traction control on. The medium traction control is available, but not full. So they are trying to learn that, and they're doing a pretty good job right now, keeping it in a straight line for a while. They are seem to get used to it, so fair enough. And very, very good job indeed. Very proud to see that very quick adjustment right there. That is a proper driver. I'm sure they can do much better things in the future as well. It's going to be an exciting one to watch. Now Heichler, 8 tenths, 9 tenths, starting to lose a bit of time here to Zingy. They don't really have the energy to push with it either, so I think this might be a bit of a movement in the Grand Prix. Frantic has a bit of energy, but do they have enough pace to get in front of Heischler and then catch up to Zingy? Don't know. It doesn't look like it, does it? They're not so close to Heischler after all. Of course, if you've got a car in between you, it does make the gap a bit bigger than it would if you were directly behind a car, but considering everything, all the factors right now, it does look like Frantic wouldn't be fast enough either to keep up with the Mercedes driver, and Zingy has just found a switch. Now these tyres have died off, managed to use this controller to its advantage, and when I say advantage, usually it'd be a disadvantage around a circuit where tyre wear is so crucial. Now Peanuts goes for the move on Gilly, as both of these cars have dropped away from Tom Robb, who's closed up massively. I did not see that. Oh my wow, that's incredible. Look at that. Tom Robb and Peanuts catching on that hard tyre. That is a significant drop off. It dropped off about a lap or two ago, as we expected, and this is the results. This is the way the hard tyre goes. Now Tom Robb's going to be looking to try and lead this Grand Prix in a few laps time, because all these guys are going to have to pit, of course. Whether Zingy tries to defend or not, I don't quite know. But as I said, or as I was saying before, it's an interesting situation. Zingy's just managed to start breaking away as these tyres have dropped away. Whether he's pushing a little bit harder than before, which would make a lot more sense, that's probably the case. Whether it's tyre wear situation, I'm not sure. Usually our controller does wear a lot more than a wheel because of the inputs being less smooth. That being said, if the slight, very, very slight inbuilt traction control for a controller player would kick in, it might mean that even if you've got tyre wear, you have a bit of an easier time on traction, which could then show the difference between, of course, the tyre wear situation and the pace advantage around a circuit like Hungary, where traction is so important. Anyway, after all of the waffle, the conclusion is, I think Zingy is just faster. I think he's just pushing at the moment a lot, but definitely on the other side of this situation, that hard tyre is rapid, and Tom Robb is going to have to try and look for a move sooner rather than later, because Peanuts is only going to catch, and they want to make sure that they can use this as an opportunity to break away from Peanuts and make sure they guarantee that position ahead of the RB driver. They also want to try and make sure that they make this move ahead of these medium tyre runners, because right now they're only losing time, and it doesn't help their strategy because they're not really on the beneficial strategy, dare I say it. Although they are starting on a hard tyre and it usually would make sense, they aren't on the beneficial strategy this evening. They are on an alternate strategy, and they have to push, they have to go aggressive. Now, it's not easy in the DRS train. They're looking to take a wide line, use the energy, maybe have a go, but they get a bit of a correction and they won't be able to make a move right here. Frantic is pushing to try and overtake Heischler here. They're looking to go for the move to the inside line. Will they go for it? They'll back off and they won't challenge. Would that leave them vulnerable to the Red Bull driver? No. Tom Robb making that mistake at the final corner, and it just prevented his traction, prevented his run into the first corner, and unfortunately nothing will change for the German driver in P4, and it will only help Zingy get further away, 2.2 seconds. That is an incredible lead right now. Just switched it on completely on lap 9, and is going to be probably never seen again unless we get a safety car in this Grand Prix. Peanuts not able to hold on to the train ahead. Definitely faster than the medium tyres, but a train is just so powerful in this game, and it's not so easy. Nabil trying to make good progress after their issues at the start of the Grand Prix. Terence on that hard tyre to go to the end of the Grand Prix. They've gone for that severe undercut, and they're really trying to make it work. It can work. I mean, the tyres can go this long. There's no doubt about that. He's going for that severe undercut, and it looks quite good, to be honest. We'll have a quick look at the gap to the leaders, at least. So he's got 29 seconds. So to be ahead of the leaders, obviously, is a bit different and not exactly ideal. But he should be able to come out ahead of Gilly, I think, or be racing alongside Gilly at least when the pit stops do happen. Now that is Frantic and Tom Robb switching positions as there's a bit of a loss of traction right there from Frantic. I think there must have been a bit of contact into the corner, and that is going to be Heichler going wide. It's going to invite Tom Robb to go for a move. Tom Robb has the energy, Heichler doesn't. Oh, I say that, just saving a little bit. They don't have any energy, but they're not able to go for a move, is Tom Robb. They've made one move, and it was a bit of a interesting one. It looked a little bit, not controversial, but messy as they got into the first corner. I say that it could just be that Frantic lost the car, and that's that. But we'll never know until we see a replay, of course, and we're just going to have to hope that it was nice and clean and continue. And in that regard, if we say that, Tom Robb has made a lovely move into the first corner and got the job done. Into P3, looking to hunt down the Alpine driver who is on that disadvantaged tyre with no ERS compared to this man with a lot of ERS. So I say that, well, of course, Heichler's managed to save ERS throughout the lap as you can around this circuit, but he dives into the pit lane. Tom Robb will get DRS to try and make this situation work quite nicely so he doesn't get re-overtaken by Frantic, but that is a very nice undercut idea from Heichler here. Will it work out for them? That's the question. Zingy, is he going to have to react all of a sudden here to Heichler? It is more or less the pit window, give or take a couple of laps. So, you know, it's not strange, but he's definitely gone for the undercut side of things. Zingy has an advantage. He's got 3.2 seconds. He can go for a bit more of a risk. He can go a little bit longer. He's got a nice amount of pace in that car as well. Although he hasn't got pole, he still has the outright race pace, which is very, very good. And now, no dirty air for Tom Robb to be stuck in. You can see the pace of that hard tyre compared to that medium tyre is absolutely outrageous. And now Heichler, with that undercut, is going to be mega fast. Really, really fast. Frantic basically has to go into the pit lane to cover off Heichler if they want to, unless they go for a very different strategy it could work, but they're basically going to have to go into the pit lane. Zingy doesn't have to. They've got the option. They do decide to go into the pit lane regardless. It's not really worth the risk. They're leading the race by 3 seconds. They've got a bit of a margin for error still. Even if this is the wrong tyre situation, they've got, I say that, 3 seconds to give them an advantage, of course, later on into the Grand Prix. And as expected, that does mean we get Tom Robb leading the Grand Prix for the first time this evening. We also get Peanuts sitting in P2 as expected. We actually get Gilly sitting in P3 right there. Zingy will come out in P4. That is Frantic right there. Heichler down the straight will come out way behind Zingy, but Frantic is nowhere to be seen as that is actually a safety car all of a sudden. Wow, what a shame right there. A lot of people passing the pit lane as the safety car comes out, so we will be going around again. That is Nabil retiring from the Grand Prix, and it will bring everyone back into contention for this Grand Prix. Zori gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car conditions on their return to league racing, maybe just not quite up to speed with the Delta, unfortunately, or too much up to speed with the Delta and not slowed down enough, I guess. That's really the statement. Terence will get another opportunity, might go for another pit stop. Would they try and go to the end of the Grand Prix on a set of mediums? It would be very silly too. Now, that is tragic for the sake of course, Zingy's race. I don't think they'll lose the Grand Prix lead to Tom Robb, but I believe Heichler, if not Heichler, definitely Frantic, will lose the lead to Tom Robb because they were in the pit lane with the safety car. Well, they were in the pit lane. Zingy wasn't in the pit lane with the safety car. He just left it. Heichler definitely wasn't. Now, Tom Robb goes in and they come out. Zingy isn't going to be going into the pit lane, so they'll continue. They're going to try and come out as far ahead as they possibly can of everyone else. Where is it going to be? I think they're going to drop behind Tom Robb. I think Tom Robb is going to be leading the Grand Prix. They get a drag race out of the pit lane. It is going to be Zingy just about, but Tom Robb will be in P2 of the Grand Prix. Peanuts will take a P3 and jump ahead of Gilly. Even though they were there already, that is actually Frantic, who will lose the position. Not to Gilly, just managed to make it ahead, but that is a hell of a mix-up. And now you've got two medium tyre runners trying to go to the end of the Grand Prix. They've got the majority of the race on this tyre. So they've basically got the stint that they've just done, plus a lot more, which is really going to be really hard on a set of medium tyres to go to the end of the Grand Prix. They've got about 20 laps, more or less, to go on this tyre. It's going to be very, very tough. But that is only if you know what you're doing around Hungary, because I believe the strategy probably suggests something else. Now, Gilly, Frantic, Heischler, Zingy, all going to be perfectly fine to go to the end. Darko Raja as well. Zora's gone for that medium tyre. So's JJ, or JJ hasn't pitted yet. Terrence has also gone for that tyre as well. And then we'll see. But, yeah, will JJ go into the pit lane? They seem to be staying out. They're trying to catch a little bit more. I think they know that they can go into the pit lane a little bit later on because there is a bit of a bigger gap. And they won't only lose one position if they do so to the Sauber, because Zora's quite far behind. As long as they make sure they keep a decent pace, I think they'll be able to get a pit stop in late on and have an advantage over everyone else. Would that suggest that they're trying to go for another set of mediums because they'll have that bit of an advantage? I don't know. The smart decision, if they had the hard tyres left, which I know they do, would to be able to go to the hard tyres, and they can get the job done. They just need to go, put that white wall on, and we'll see what they do. That does mean Darko's going to get that position. The Dutchman will be promoted to P8 runabout now. There you go. A bit late, but oh well. A bit early, I should say. There is the hard tyre there for JJ as expected. Very smart decision. And they will continue, although they've got one lap on that tyre. It was just an out lap, basically, because they had damage. And they haven't really done much running on this tyre at all, and they'll be absolutely fine to go to the end of the Grand Prix. They'll catch up as well. Zora is going to have to keep pushing. We should be going racing by the end of this Grand Prix. By the end of the Grand Prix, of course. By the end of the Grand Prix. By the end of this lap. Right, well, we don't get confirmation, so if we do go racing, it'll be a very late call, but I think we've gone too far for that to be the case. I mean, I've seen it go in super late, I've seen it go in now. As we do, it's going to be a very late call. Zingy will suddenly slow, bunch up the pack, the safety car goes into the pit lane now, and he can go at any point. He might go immediately. Watch out for everyone else. When will Zingy go for the safety car restart? The king of safety cars. And it's go, 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 go for Zingy once again. We are racing in Hungary, just about managing to get the job done. It's Tomrod, but I say that it might not be. It might not be. Heischler having a look around the outside, but no, the medium tyre for Tomrod will be the advantage. Who's that off in the background? Frantic loses positions, as that's Gilly looking to make the move on this tyre. They try to make it work. It's Terrence going pretty wide, and it's Peanuts on the other side of the battle as they go side by side through turn 3. They slot in behind one another, of course, but someone went off. I don't know who it was. It wasn't anyone. I'm just seeing things. JJ managed to get back in the pack, of course, and Zora just about made it to the back of the grid. And a switch up here with JJ and Roger as they try to go side by side momentarily, but it didn't quite work out, and they continue on their merry way. And we are well and truly racing once again in Hungary. We have Tomrod, who is right behind, looking to maybe go for the race lead. Not the net race lead, for the race lead this time. Will it be possible for the Red Bull driver? DRS won't be available on this lap. It will be available on the next lap, but then it won't actually be activated until the lap after that. So he's got a long way to go until he actually gets a decent opportunity. Actually, no, so it will be this lap. It's enabled and then activated on the next lap. So they might get an opportunity quite soon to be able to go for that move, but they do need to try and hold on to Zingy, who is absolutely rapid right now. All these guys do have some very cold tyres, so they're going to have to try and get them warmed up. That medium tyre will be easy to warm up, and it will be nice for a couple of laps, of course, because a colder tyre at a circuit that makes your tyres so hot is always going to be quite nice, so you get a bit more out of it. But it's just going to be incredibly difficult a little bit later on. And Heischler, of course, is looking very racy and is not going to want to wait too much behind this Red Bull car, who will inevitably drop off at some point in this Grand Prix. But right now they just need to try and ride the train off the pace of that medium tyre, ride the medium train and see if it can change things up, and maybe they can just hold on to Zingy if they are lucky. Frantic manages to get in front of Gilly and Peanuts in the end, as Peanuts, of course, being ahead because of the safety car, but they did lose that position. Frantic is a very quick driver, especially in the summer season, showing some incredible pace. Now, Tom Robb, DRS available, but they're not really close enough to make a move here on Zingy. He's done enough. Will defend from Heischler, though, by using some energy, and they will continue on their merry way quite nicely. They'll get another bit of DRS to help them catch up, just to kind of counteract the troubles of the dirty air that you encounter throughout the other parts of the lap. Lap 19 out of 35, and it is just a matter of time. It's a waiting game right here of how things will change up with the tyre situation. Frantic is on one lap fresher tyre compared to Heischler, but not able to catch up at the moment. 3/10. They've got a bit of work to do. DRS is available, so the straights aren't going to be kind to them. They've got to try and find it in the corners, and they're going to have to try and make use of a bunched up pack of three right now. There are disadvantages, there are advantages. The disadvantage is that it's a very quick pack of drivers, so it isn't going to be easy to catch. The advantage is that they are close together, so they are going to be slightly slower, and it will help them catch up. As you can see, they are kind of catching up a little bit, if not maintaining the gap. They caught up overall about 2/10 to the cars ahead. They just need to try and do that again, but that DRS zone is just going to be absolutely killer. Now 8/10 is what Tom Robb has to Zingy, so once again it's not going to be enough to make a move. Zingy's doing a very good job to defend that with the ERS and just pacing himself at the final part of the lap. But we'll see how it goes, and you can see that is about a 6/10 advantage that those guys had on the straight compared to Frantic, which is absolutely mental. We've got to switch up here with JJ and Gilly, as Gilly loses a position to Terence and then JJ. JJ wants to have another go at making a move on Terence, but they just have to hold on for now, and they sit in P7 similar to where they were earlier on in the Grand Prix. I think they finished in P7, didn't they, and scored 2 points in the sprint race. Now, if they do that, they'll score 6 points, so it would be a nice little advantage that they would get. For Ferrari, of course, they are the only Ferrari car left in this Grand Prix, and they're still having those issues, and that's what that safety car was deployed for. I hope they're okay, and I hope we can see them back in the next race. And competitive once again, as we've seen so many times in the past. We just know there's something that they need to try and find to figure out, and they'll be able to fight up the front with everybody else. Now Terence leads the way of this little battle here. It is not going to be easy because he's got some hard tyre runners behind him who are only going to get quicker in a moment's time. You're going to get about another lap in this for Terence, and then those tyres will start to dry off. He's got to be careful he doesn't move again, and he doesn't, just about keeps it predictable, but yeah, that was an interesting one. Definitely will be some questions raised by JJ, I'm sure, but the move is done and they will continue. Now Gilly will sit right behind and hope to try and make a move on Terence here, because those medium tyres are not going to get any quicker, and they want to try and fight their fellow countryman JJ if they can do. Frantic sitting in P4 still, but with a 2-second gap at the moment, as the train once again continues to demolish everyone at the moment. That being said, Heischler has made that move on Tom Brainer. They don't have DRS of Zingy, crucially, so they're not going to be able to catch up easily to Zingy and maintain that gap. Lap 21 out of 35. Just over 2 laps have passed since we last checked in on this battle. Now, Tom, Rob will continue to lose out as they made a big mistake out of the turn 11 section onto the little straight, which meant their run was basically ruined, and they do lose that DRS already, and those tyres, as on cue, they do start to lose that pace, and Frantic will be able to catch up. They've got a car ahead of them on disadvantaged tyres with no DRS train to help. The question is, will Frantic be able to try and find some pace and maybe have a look at catching Heisler later on? They were pretty quick earlier on. Whether they'll have that opportunity again or not, I don't quite know. That's going to be Terence making it very light on the rear end, spinning those rears. They've just about kept it in a straight line, but I think that is that battle done. Gilly and JJ are only going to get quicker, and that will be them running off. That being said, Gilly's got a bit of work to do. 1/10 in it. They've got to push. They had the pace earlier on. They might have just extended track limits right there as they tried to push. They had brilliant pace earlier on. Getting that P4 position was perfect for them. But it's not too easy. I say that they've already got within DRS range. They were faster than Tom Rob, and if Tom Rob's P3, they have enough to be in that position. So they are obviously doing very good. That being said, of course, there was a safety car that came out. And the tyre situation is very different, so take that with a massive pinch of salt. Frantic trying to get the car turned in. Front end skipping over. A big issue once again for understeer in the final corner for Tom Rob as these tyres are dying out. And that is going to be Frantic moving to the inside line. And I was going to assume that he wouldn't fight it too hard, but Tom Rob really doesn't want to give it up. They don't have the DRS, but they try and take the racing line very prematurely. Frantic's not having the best of days right here. They've got to try and get through, and they're only losing more time to Heisler. What Tom Rob's hoping is that he can hold on a little bit here to Frantic, maybe get the DRS and hold on towards the end of the Grand Prix to Frantic and maybe look at making a move. But at this stage, I don't think that's going to be the case. We've got a yellow who would be for Gilly, I believe, because they've just lost a bit of time to JJ. I say that, I'm not entirely sure who exactly that yellow was for. Maybe it was darker, as they are now 8 seconds behind, possibly. That is a massive gain right there for Frantic as they go through turn 11. That turn 11 corner on a medium tyre for Tom is just absolutely killer. Not able to get that really to work out, it seems. So DRS on this straight. I think that's probably going to be the last of the lead of this little battle right here for Tom. ERS, DRS will be used. Frantic's going to try and make the move nice and early. A late as you like move right there from Tom. Sends it to the inside. Frantic gets it turned in. They're ahead, and they've got the DRS to their advantage. They've got a lot of ERS in that car. They go slightly defensive, and Tom Rob will not be able to challenge. They fought with all their might, all the aggression they could find, and that will be that. That is Zora unfortunately having an issue, and they lose the car once again. Peanuts goes into the pit lane for whatever reason, so they must have had damage. Maybe that was what the yellow flag was for earlier on. Anyway, we continue with Zora right now. Peanuts is a lap ahead, almost a lap ahead effectively, but still on an interesting strategy. They've had to go for that pit stop. No damage, so they have either got it repaired. We'll see. We'll see. Let's have a quick look and see what the case was there for Peanuts if we can, just quickly. It was not a front wing repair, so it was just a medium to medium tyre. It was literally a strategy call. They're just trying to make this tyre work, and it's fair enough. They are now in P9, and they catch up to the Sauber driver, and they're going to be looking to make that move if they can within a few moments' time. Gilly and JJ looking to try and be in a battle. Tom Rob not able to hold on here to Frantic. Peanuts makes a very nice move there on the Sauber. Darker trying their best with the medium traction control, just being very tentative at the final corner. At least they didn't spin. I think that's fair enough situation, and Peanuts read the situation very well and reacted accordingly. So very well done for both drivers to get around that situation. New situations for one driver and unexpected situation for the other. Of course, unexpected for Peanuts to see a car going through the corner at that situation, but also a new situation there. As I said, for Darko, with that traction control, and they're doing a very good job to learn it. I have to praise them for it. We look at the race leader momentarily and see Zingy leading the way, having a brilliant race so far, managing to stay ahead despite a safety car and 4 seconds advantage, of course. They had Tom Robb behind them, who was on that medium tyre. And Heichler, although getting pole in the main race and the sprint race, just hasn't been able to convert it in either, it seems. Still a long way to go in the Grand Prix. Just under 10 laps of this race right now remaining. Anything can change. Anything can change. Do not count anything out. Heichler can still win this race right now. And they're still keeping themselves in contention by holding on. Frantic trying their best, but that 3-second gap that they lost from fighting with Tom hasn't really come back. Tom trying to hold on with this tyre, but JJ is slowly but surely catching on this hard tyre. 3.3 seconds. We'll go through the chicane and see what that is. 3.2. Even though he lost the car a little bit, just continues to gain more and more time through the corners, and Gilly also is going to try and do the same. They're very close to the back of JJ, so you can see if JJ's gaining as much as he is, Gilly's probably gaining too. Terrence struggling on this medium tyre. As his former teammate for last season, it makes that move. 8 seconds. It's going to change further and further down as they've gone on to that medium tyre. Whether that's to go for a fastest lap attempt, I'm not entirely sure. But they go for it regardless, and that is that one. They're having more issues, unfortunately, on the rear end. They've got to be careful. They should be fine. And we'll see how it goes for them later on. But yeah, having their issues, and they are going to have to let the other cars go as they are lapped. Not ideal, but it is what it is. Wow. Okay. Tom Robb's gone for the pit stop. Now, maybe those tyres were looking to a point where they may be actually in puncture range. I thought Peanuts was mad. But Tom Robb doing the same thing, looking to go for another pit stop. With less than 10 laps remaining of this Grand Prix, they have lost a lot of positions, and they're trying to see if they can maybe make it back up on that right pace. We'll see if that's the case. They've got a long way to catch the Terrence, let alone to catch the Gilly. It automatically promotes JJ into P4 and Gilly into P5. It does also see, in the meantime, Heichler getting a time penalty along with Terrence. So lap 28, a lot more time penalties have started to pick up. Of course, Peanuts, Darko and Zora already having that penalty situation, which wasn't ideal. But it is what it is. Alrighty. Not entirely sure what's going on here. I do apologise. But Zora's having more issues on the rear end. Hopefully they can get it back in a straight line and be good to go. Alrighty, Zingy leads the way, 6.3 seconds. Heichler taking that P2, but Frantic is only 4 tenths behind according to that time penalty, so they've got to be careful, and they will see what they can do. 3 tenths, pushing nicely. It will be working quite well. I do apologise for this. We will make sure we get that sorted for next race. There we go. Yep, not ideal situation. It would have promoted Nabil to a points position if they did finish enough of this race, but of course they DNF, so that is that. Zingy continues on lap 29. Heichler in P2, Frantic. Then we've got JJ, who isn't going to make the hunt on Tom Robb because they made that pit stop with Gilly, trying to see if they can catch up to the fellow driver that they battled in Belgium as well, just as hard. They had a phenomenal race throughout. It's going to be Peanuts and Tom Rob trying to switch positions right now. A battle of the fresh medium tyre runners. Oh, and that's not how it goes. And that is a car airborne, and a virtual safety car is deployed. I'm surprised it's not more. I really don't know what happened right there. But, yeah, unless that's desync, Tom Rob did move across. And Peanuts is out of this Grand Prix. Wow, an incredible situation. It brings out the full safety car eventually, even though that says virtual, the full safety car is out. Zingy's going to plonk on a set of medium tyres, really, I guess. Don't know if you'd really want to go for a set of softs. We'll see what choice they make. Heisler, unfortunately for their sake, that are going to lose all the gap that they had on that time penalty. And they're going to have to end up working pretty hard to gain as much as they can. But they will lose that position to Frantic and maybe lose that position to JJ as well if they're not careful. But Zingy goes for the soft tyres. Frantic and Heisler, I assume, are going to go for the same situation right now. And I guess that's going to be a pretty straightforward decision. Sorry for the chair squeaking. I do apologise. Soft tyres for all. It's going to be a sprint to the end, and a proper sprint at that. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. Zingy's going to be thankful that they lead the way, and I think they'll also be thankful that the car behind them does have a time penalty, so they've got a significantly less amount of pressure compared to Heisler, who has got all the pressure in the world to try and escape on this time penalty range. As I said, according to what we've seen so far in this Grand Prix, with the top three being very, very quick, it does look like they'll probably lose out to Frantic, unfortunately. Still on the podium, it could be JJ. They've got a lot to do here. They can get a podium quite straightforwardly as well if they just don't make any mistakes. They've not got long of the Grand Prix to go. We're still going to be under safety car conditions, and heartbreakingly for Heisler, we're going to keep going onto the next lap as well. He's hoping that we can get racing as soon as possible. We will be going racing at the end of the next lap. But yeah, it is a shame for Heisler. Did not deserve that. Did a very good job to work their way through ahead of Tom Rob, of course, on that alternate strategy, and try and strategically plan it so they could lose a bit of a gap to Frantic, and it worked out nicely. It was going to be a close battle. It's now going to be not so close, but we've got to try and shift our focus to the other situation of Heisler versus JJ and maybe Gilly as well instead. Gilly was doing enough to hold on to the DRS train in the sprint race for a while, so considering we've only got a few laps, if Gilly can do it and JJ was outpacing Gilly just a few moments ago, then JJ can hold on. Will Terrence be able to hold on? They've also got a time penalty, so they wouldn't be able to take advantage. Also, Darko Roger has also got that time penalty, but we will be going racing at the end of this lap. Everyone is on equal tyres. It's just about setup. There's no damage, I believe, on the cars, so they've just got to make sure they keep a clean front wing during the safety car conditions, and we'll get a nice fair race to the end of the Grand Prix. As I said, it's only setup difference for these cars. Also a bit of time penalty difference, of course, for the kind of off-track situation regarding any overtakes. Zingy leads the way. We've got a bit of time until that confirmation comes through, but we will find out in a moment's time, inevitably, on when Zingy will go for that restart. That's the confirmation, and this is Zingy backing up the field and ready to go. That is Tom Rob getting a time penalty for a severe collision with Terrence as they go into the back of him. That's going to be looked into later on, of course. Safety car goes into the pit lane. Zingy can go at any point right now, and he's already gone for it. Angles the car nicely and darts through. Heischler did not react, and that is almost already an entire second that Zingy has. Heck, it's already over a second that he has right now. That is a phenomenal restart, and although that's not ideal for Heischler, who may have wanted the DRS on Zingy, it does mean that they've got clean air ahead to be able to push and try and break away from the other cars. Zingy could be a bit of a menace and slow up the pack, but they don't need to, and they don't really care. They're not going to try and hate on Heischler because they've had a hard enough race as it is, which has been tragic, but they do have an opportunity to try and make the best out of a bad situation right here. Come on, come on, Heischler, you can do this. You deserve this. You deserve a P2. It looks like it's probably going to be P3 at very best, if not a P4, P5, because these guys are all so close. Now, Frantic is going to be pushing to the absolute limit using that curve. As you can see, their car was fully angled right there, going through the corner. Whether that's good for ground effect, I don't quite know, but I think for the F1 game that doesn't make too much of a difference, at least at that corner. Now, JJ holding on right now to these cars, and Heischler just struggling at the moment. Zingy checks out. To be honest, I think there's only one phrase to describe that, and it is checking out, with a fastest lap, of course, to add to that as they started the lap before that final corner, which allowed them to go for that fastest lap nice and early, and they'll probably keep it, I will be honest with you. Heischler leads the train. No DRS just yet. It will be activated on the next lap, and we'll see how it goes. I think these cars are going to have a very nice time in DRS in a few moments' time, and Heischler just can't really do too much at the moment. Frantic not able to go for a move. Heischler just trying to back up the field, which is an interesting situation because you'd expect them to try and break away, but not turning the ERS on throughout the corners is just going to lose him more time, and that's really not what he needs at the moment. He needs to open up the field, not bunch them up, and currently they're all being backed up together. We got Tom Robb and Terence, the two teammates who were fighting a moment ago. Now, Tom Robb has got quite a few time penalties to their name after that little situation. They did get themselves a 3 seconds as well, so that 3 second will stay. That 10 second will be looked into. Might not stay, but as it stands, Dr. Roger would finish in P7, which would be a great position considering they weren't entirely short of the assist situation before they started this race. Zingy leads the way on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Frantic is going to look to go for the move to the inside line on Heischler, and Heischler tries to turn in. That was a little bit silly right there, a bit desperate. Frantic was kind of there. It was a bit of a late move, but they eventually got alongside. Heischler turned in. I think I need to see the replay before I really make a decision on that, but both drivers kind of just trying to go for interesting moves on the final stages of the Grand Prix. That's a bit of a gap that Frantic now has, and they've got to try and recoup before the final lap if they want to go for that opportunity again. Not going to be so easy on the final lap though, with a gap that they've got right now. Frantic's going to have to push with all they possibly can, and now all of a sudden Heischler does have a bit of a gap, and they're definitely going to finish ahead of both Red Bulls. If they can push just a little bit more, they might find themselves ahead of Gilly if they can push a little bit more. But it's not going to be so straightforward. They've actually found a lot of pace in that car, and they might actually do enough to break away from DRS unless Frantic can nail the exit, which I don't think they do. And that is going to be Heischler checking out from DRS ranges. Well, to be honest, Frantic managed to break away. Not break away, sorry. They managed to use all of their ERS on that final attack, and that's going to be JJ looking to go for the move. He knows this is for P2. They've got to be careful that they don't fight too hard, otherwise they'll both lose it. But JJ makes the move, and they continue. They get DRS. They've got some ERS to still spare, and they can hold on to this. They can get this P2. 1.3 seconds gap. They've just got to try and make sure that that doesn't double, because it would be so close if that does. Over double, and it's game over. Zingy leads the way. Will not be contested. Heischler is doing all they can and might just maybe be able to do enough by the end of the lap to finish in P5, but I reckon Gilly might have it. They might have it. Frantic absolutely furious of the situation, and now they might not even finish in P2. They're going to end up P3, where they were at the start of this Grand Prix. I say that at the opening stages of the Grand Prix. Anyway, we go to the final few corners, and Zingy is going to do it again and extend the championship lead even further for the Mercedes team. Phenomenal driving from him today. Heichler gave it his absolute best. P2 it'll be, but JJ will finish P2. Frantic will get it, and Gilly will get there in the end. Heichler will take that P5. Gilly managed to get the job done. Tom, Rob, Terence, and then Darko Roger will get that position, and they will finish in P7. Wow, what a race. Got a little bit difficult at the end. May have had a mishap or two in the comms box, but it was an incredible one. And 2 safety cars didn't make it easy. I say that. It was 2 safety cars, I'm pretty sure. That is the event done. That is the Hungarian Grand Prix. Zingy takes the win with a fastest lap to add maximum points for the weekend for this man. JJ in P2 with Frantic taking that P3. Gilly, Heichler, Tom, Rob, Terence, Darko Roger, Peanuts, and DNFing was actually Peanuts, Nabil, and DSQing was Zorro. We go through the race director just in case, and then we will go and check the pit stop section out. And that will be that. We will be back for the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Hungarian Grand Prix. That was a hell of a race, as Hungary always is. We start with Tom. Tom, that was a difficult one. Of course, we had the sprint that was not ideal because you were involved in, not really an incident, but you just lost a lot of time when Nabil had their moment. But in the main race, you had a great opportunity. You weren't happy with the strategy, though, if I believe correctly.
Not with the strategy, the strategy would have worked fine if it wasn't for the safety car. As the safety car came out, I knew I have to go to put on a tire, because if I don't, I'm just 20 seconds behind when I will do. Because the others were all on fresh hards, or could have went on fresh hards if they weren't. So I knew I had to try the medium, even though I knew it might get really close. And then the drop-off was just really bad. And the strategy call was then just pit, because I knew I would end up behind JJ and Gilly without pitting. So I thought maybe I can get close to them at least. But I would have still had the same position, and with the safety car in the end, it was really unlucky because that meant I could have meant that I could have stayed out for the entire stint, and then pitted for the soft tire, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
But also, the penalties were real bullshit today. The 10-second penalty, it was a bit of a lag problem between turns and myself.
Right.
So it was just, as I stepped on the brakes, it was a little bit of jumping around with the cars, and then I just suddenly hit him, but had no damage, which is really weird.
Right.
Because normally if you hit a car in front, at that spot you usually get at least light green. I think I could have gotten that penalty removed, and also the 3-second penalty. I got 3 track limit warnings, and one of them was when Peanut and I crashed, because as he went into my side pods, I went over the right side of the track onto the grass also, and that's where I got the track limit.
I see. Okay, so you should be able to gain a lot of positions back. If that
Unfortunately not.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, my bad. Sorry, I can't remember the timings. My brain doesn't go back that far, unfortunately. If the safety car didn't come out, where do you think you would have finished?
Probably top 4. Also, if the first safety car didn't come out, top 4 probably, because with the odds lap 25 I could have stretched them. Vingy, Reich and Frantic probably would have caught up a lot, but with Peanuts being the next car and Judge and Gilly also being quite far behind at that moment, I probably would have ended up where they were, and with the fresh set of medium I could have gotten a gap to them and then just keep the gap to the end.
Fair enough. Well, it's not ideal, unfortunate, but going to the next race, try and get a fresh mind. Whether you race there or not, do you like the Dutch Grand Prix circuit? Is a circuit that suits you?
Not driven a lot this year's game. Usually it suited me. I was quite good. But for now it seems like I struggle a lot in the training, getting no confidence in, but still managed to have quite some pace for the race. So I just can't say anything about how it will go.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, it's not ideal, but you gave it your best shot and you gave us some good racing, so thank you very much, Tom. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
And we move on to Heischler. 2 poles, unfortunately, wasn't able to convert, and I think in that main race you're just very unlucky. Can you take us through it?
Yeah, the sprint was just my own doing. Like, if I didn't have that penalty, I would maybe have had a chance at Singy. But as soon as I got that penalty, I was like, okay, yep, then it's gonna be P3. And yeah, during the race, I was in like the best position together with Singy until I don't know when exactly. I did the undercut and then the safety car came out, which I thought was bad timing, but in the end it was actually good timing since the guys who started on the hards were just screwed over because of it. So we didn't have to worry about them anymore, even though I believe Tom was in between me and Zingy, which screwed me over on having a chance on Zingy just because I couldn't be in his DRS after I overtook Tom. I tried to get in his DRS when I overtook Tom, but Zingy had just too much pace. I would say if I didn't make that much mistakes, the pace difference would have been like 3/10 a lap. So if I just had that DRS, it would have been close in the end, I think. But yeah, as soon as Zingy went away, I had a lot of laps where I just made a lot of mistakes. So there was a bit of might show that I don't have a lot of pace, but I was just not concentrating enough, and then the penalty came. I was like, okay, yeah, it doesn't matter. I would still be P2, but sadly, then the incident of Terrence happened, and the safety car came out, which screwed me over again. It's not, yeah, it's still my own fault by getting a penalty. And then I made the stupid mistake to keep my ERS on none the whole time, except for the straights where I press overtake at the safety car restart. So that's why I lost out a lot of time to Zingy, and the people behind me stayed close as well. I think if I didn't do that, I might have had a chance to break away 3 seconds at least to maybe everyone, since JJ overtook Tom or Frantic in the end. So it's a lot of ifs where I could have done things better, but I just miss a lot of rhythm lately, and I'm just trying to get back to how I was at the start of this game, but it's gonna take some time, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, those issues, you just got to try and remember them for the next race that you do and get on top of them, and you'll only improve. So try and forget that one. Home Grand Prix, whether you race there or not, the Dutch Grand Prix, do you like that circuit? Do you like the overall spectacle, as it should give you an advantage, surely? Half a second quicker with your home crowd?
Only if that was true, man. Only if that was true. Yeah, I don't dislike Stanford. I haven't driven it on this game yet, but I have good memories of it since I had my first league race win there. So I hope I can be back there.
For sure, for sure. All the best. Good luck there, and thank you very much, Heisler. Tough luck today, but it will get better.
Yeah, thank you.
And we move on to Gilly. Gilly, it was pretty impressive right there in the sprint race. You were very, very quick. Obviously lost the DRS, but you were still very, very quick. In the main race, just weren't quite able to stay with JJ. Do you think maybe if you were to hold on to DRS from JJ, you might have been in a position to get P2 instead of the Ferrari?
Yeah, well, I couldn't keep up with JJ because I had wing damage because
okay.
I had a slight collision. But I think if I didn't get wing damage, I probably wouldn't have lost that place to JJ.
Right.
It is quite easy to defend around this track. I don't know whether I'd be able to have got frantic like JJ did because I don't think I had the top speed. But yeah, I'm not too sad because I had good pace in the sprint race. Pace was similar in the main race until I actually lost my wing a little bit. Yeah, I could have done a little bit better, but I'm happy with fourth, to be fair.
Fair enough. Very, very humble. I'll be honest. I must have like blinked or something when I'm not trying to like say that I didn't see it. Like wink, wink. I must have literally not been looking when that happened.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Anyway, you move on to the next one. Can we get a podium for Gilly in Zandvoort?
Zandvoort's another race I sort of like. I was planning on doing my practicing qualifying on this this race, but then you put short quali on, so fuck you. Is it a normal race next week?
It's a normal race next week, and then it will be a sprint race for Brazil, so just keep that in mind.
Okay. Next week I'll be able to get some practice in then.
Yeah, so there's no excuses. Safety
P2.
off. Easy P2. Thank you very much, Gilly. Really good effort today, and we'll see you next time. Well done.
Thank you.
We move on to Zingy. There's not really much to say other than, well, I'd say perfect. I'm sure there's more little things that you could make here and there, but points-wise, perfect.
Yeah, the sprint race was quite self-explanatory. I knew that I had the pace on Haj. He told me he was tires overheating, not during the race, but after. And basically, I just thought, well, if I'm gaining 2 or 3 tenths in the last sector, I can use a little bit of battery on the straight and keep him behind, even with him using battery ERS and slipstream. So I just kind of kept him behind because I was looking after my tyres, and that's how the sprint race went. And obviously, in qualifying, he made that mistake out of turn 1 because going from a race where you have minimal grip to qualifying when you've got 5 litres of fuel on board, it's such a drastic difference. And I just kind of forgot about that, and so we started at the back, and by the end of lap 1 I was already on the back of those guys. So yeah, my start was incredible, and from there on I just made my moves up the order. I done very well with the pace, even though I felt my pace wasn't that good. I felt as though I could have pushed a bit harder and got a few more tenths, but I was easily 5-6 tenths faster a lap. It was incredible. So it's, for me not playing the game much over these last few weeks, it's incredible, as I say, but yeah, just coming home with a win and obviously closing that championship advantage is something you love to see.
Yeah, so Friday to maybe in the bag. We've got 2 races to go. Zandvoort the next one. Do you feel confident for that?
It's not my best track. Usually when I say Hungary is my best track, I go there and I do very well, which people overlook it quite a lot. But yeah, I'm good at Hungary, but Zandvoort, it's a very tricky one. Obviously, you need to be very committed when it comes to driving. You need to leave it all on the edge, kind of like Hungary, but at that same time, if you leave that margin, you're going to lose a lot more time in comparison because there's a lot of high-speed corners. So it's going to be very difficult. Yeah. We're going to be leaning on the car. It's going to be a lot higher temperatures. The car is going to be put for so much. So I'll have to just drive hard on this race, and hopefully I can come out on top once again.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well said. And we'll see you next time. Good luck there. And congratulations on the championship extension.
Whoa.
bit too early there. I apologise. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next week for the Friday tier Dutch Grand Prix. We will see you tomorrow for the Hungarian Grand Prix for the Saturday tier. We'll see you on Tuesday for some more practice lobbies. Maybe Thursday if we can fit that one in. Have a good one, and bye-bye.